Okay, I'm Jeff Armstrong, owner of Sound Galleries in Monaco, and this is the Sound Galleries music server. So this was conceived in Monaco between myself and my partner, Edward Chu, and it's engineered actually in Holland, and the engineer, Emil Bock, is outside. We conceived this around HQ Player software. HQ Player is written by a gentleman named Jussi Larko from Finland. And what it does, it allows us to upsample within the music server to the maximum that the DAC can support, whether it's a PCM DAC or a DSD DAC. And for a PCM DAC, you have a choice of filters and dithers. For a DSD DAC, you have again a choice of different filters and a modulator to make the conversion. So the advantage of doing upsampling in a computer architecture machine such as this is that you can really do a lot of heavy lifting, that have the resources to do upsampling correctly, rather than doing upsampling in a DAC, which doesn't really have adequate resources to do it correctly. So a lot of people feel disappointed by upsampling in the past because it didn't work very well, and came to the conclusion we'd rather our DACs didn't upsample at all, and how can you add in information that wasn't there in the first place? Well, actually what happens is that if you do upsampling correctly, you push the operation of the filter way further above our human hearing limitation, our limits. And that actually reveals information that wasn't there, that was always there, but was hidden by the operation of the filter. Okay, so we believe this is the way to do upsampling. When we feed it to a DSD DAC, well, DSD is already much closer to analog. You can actually convert DSD to analog just with a capacitor. So most of the work is done in the music server. If you have a PCM DAC, which in this case is a NOS DAC, there is no filter. Okay, so you don't have the digital filter in the way, and you upsample to the max of that DAC, which in this case is 384 kilohertz. So that upsampling and conversion to DSD, when we use a DSD DAC, this allows us to improve everything we feed the DAC. That includes streaming from Tidal. Even internet radio can benefit. And I'm just walking over here to get the iPad because we use Roon as the front end. So Roon perfectly integrates the Tidal streaming service with your local library. And it's really the most friendly software to use for discovering music, choosing the music you want to play back, managing your library, etc. But it's HQ Player that actually plays the music with all those upsampling and conversion capabilities. So we think it's the perfect combination. The friendliest software to use. All your interaction with the music server is just with the iPad. You turn the music server on and off just like any other audio component with the front button. Any support for software upgrades, etc., we can do remotely via TeamViewer. Now, the signal reaches the DAC, and from then onwards obviously goes to the more traditional components, preamplifier and power amplifiers. But in this case, we're using Audiopax pre and power amps, which are not so traditional. They're quite different. They include something which Audiopax named Timberlock. Timberlock allows us to perfectly control the second and third order harmonic distortion. So when used in the power amp, these Timberlock controls, which if I push the button, they'll all light up, allow us to dial in the amount of second and third order harmonic distortion we want. We can use that to cancel out almost all of that distortion, which is present in all loudspeakers. Now, the original designer of these amps realized that single-ended triode amps were doing that, but they were doing it just by chance. That because they produce a certain amount of second and third order harmonic distortion, they were canceling that out in the speaker. So he thought, well, how can we make use of that more intelligently? And that's why he designed this circuit. It requires several amplifiers, at least 2 within each monoblock. This one uses 3. And they have to be at variance with one another to control the harmonic distortion. They're never at the same setting. So, but if you like a bit of second and third order harmonic distortion, you can dial in just the amount you want. So you could actually emulate a 300B or a 45 tube if you wish. The preamplifier also has timbre lock controls, but they are more useful for non-Audiopax power amps, because you then have that same tuning, so you can perfectly match the preamp to your power amp, whether it's a solid state amp or Class D, and really get the result that you want. So that's quite unique to Audiopax. The preamp is a MOSFET, not tube. The power amps obviously are tube. And all of these components are sitting on active isolation platforms. These platforms were designed for the scientific community, because if you're using electronic microscopes, you don't want any disturbance in the image. But obviously they do have an audio application, particularly under show conditions such as this, where there's a lot of disturbance and the floors are not that solid. And they have a screen on the front of each of these, and you can have a before and after look at that. The before, you see the graph just going crazy, and then when you push the button to activate the isolation, you just get a straight line. And it really does